Alrighty, g'day everybody, it's the Doga! It's time for the next installment in the AC/DC album collection. We are at the end of the 1980s, and it is now time for Blow Up Your Video from 1988. This, of course, was the last album to feature Simon Wright on drums, before he was replaced with Chris Slade for the next album, The Razor's Edge, of course. But either way, don't have a great deal of copies of this album, but we'll start off with the original 1988 Australian LP, as shown here. And of course, we've got the back cover. Barcode in the top right-hand corner. Nothing really special about this, to be honest. It's just the last of the ones manufactured by EMI before they closed their pressing plant down the following year. Side 1 and side 2 label as shown here. Upside down, eh? Okay, so here's side 2. Oh, excuse me. Okay, the next one is the only other LP copies I have. I have a American pressing, as indicated by the different barcode here. This particular pressing originally belonged to a library at some particular point in its time. It did have a library denotation sticker on it, but I removed it before. I ended up removing when I got it. Either way, Atlantic label from that era. I think that info on the top of the label was written by the librarian, or whichever library owned this before it eventually made its way here to Australia. That's the only foreign copy I have of the album. And of course, we also have the 2003 version as well. I can just... it's very difficult to do with cold fingers, because we're in the middle of winter here in Australia, of course. Unlike all you overseas viewers that are watching in the Northern Hemisphere. We have the remastered version here. Bit of a bland, generic looking logo, but that's the way it's going to be, unfortunately. Alright, those are the LPs. And now it's time to move on to the singles. There were only 2 singles off this album, Heat Seeker and That's the Way I Want to Rock and Roll. Let's start with Heat Seeker, 7-inch. Picture sleeve. Here's the backhand. And of course, let's pull out the record itself. It's a bit dirty, I think. Here we are. Side A was Heat Seeker. And of course, the B side, Go Zone. 2 pretty underrated tracks off this album, to be honest. And of course, the second single in 7-inch form will of course be That's the Way I Want to Rock and Roll, and Kissin' Dynamite was the B-side. Don't have this in picture sleeve, only a generic sleeve. Those, of course, that saw my Christmas special at the end of last year will remember that this was one of the items I obtained for Christmas. Okay, that's that one. Now, we move on to the 12-inch singles, which I need to remove from their giant sleeves. Oh, here's the giant sleeves Heat Seeker 12-inch single. This front cover was also used for the Venezuelan version of Blow Up Your Video, and I believe the back cover was also used for that as well. As you can see, we've got the extra non-album track on side 2, Snake Eye, which you can find on Backtracks. Right, now we pull out the big mother, the big 12-inch. So yes, we've got Heat Seeker on the A side. And the 2 songs on the B side. Alrighty, and also, just gonna pull this out, 12-inch, That's the Way I Want to Rock and Roll. Excellent picture of Angus and Brian, I think. I believe this image here was used for the 3-inch CD single, which had That's the Way I Want to Rock and Roll, and Kiss and Dynamite, Shoot to Thrill, and the If You Want Blood edit of Whole Lotta Rosie. But that 3-inch CD single is super rare. I've never come across a copy of it anywhere, so unfortunately it will not be shown here. But either way, this is That's the Way I Want to Rock and Roll 12-inch. There is a misprint of this that's on a generic late 80s EMI label, according to Discogs. And that must be super rare as well. As this one is the more common version on the proper Albert's label at that particular time. Alrighty. Now onto the cassettes. I only got 4 copies, including 2 Australian copies. Starting with this one. Now, this copy is actually a hybrid copy. The cover belongs to my, I believe it was my dad's, but the cassette itself is not the same one that originally came with it. It accidentally got thrown away a long time ago now, but I ended up picking a loose copy of the cassette with no cover just last year. Here is the Australian J card. It's fairly long in length. Nothing on the inside, unfortunately. Anyway, this was the loose copy. As you can see, the generic looking case. Never really liked the transparent shells. I don't think it really worked very well. But I guess EMI were determined to cut costs. Anyway, I have 2 of that particular version. The second one's pretty much exactly the same. Maybe this one's in a little better condition than this other copy. Again, just to show you, it's the same thing. As you can see, a little better condition. It's pretty much exactly the same anyway. Okay, what I have next is I believe this is an early European copy of the album now. This one's essentially got the same design as the Australian cover, but you'll see the spine is different. Compare them side by side with the Australian one. Australian one on top, of course. Anyway, let's open this one out. This one has an identical J card to the Australian one. It's maybe a little smaller in length and a different looking spine. And the cassette itself is also a clear shelled one, but unfortunately, like the Who Made Who before it, this one, unfortunately, all the text is worn off, which is a shame. It's blank, but it would have been there originally back in '88, but unfortunately it's the way it is. And the other copy I also own on cassette is a copy from Singapore, and that's this one. This one has a different design again. Oh, excuse me. So anyway, this is the main side of the J card. And the opposite side, hang on. There we go. That's the inside of that Singapore J card, that one. Now, I'll put this one back. And the cassette itself, interestingly, is paper label. Didn't think that they'd be using these in Singapore, but they did. Right, those are the cassette copies that I have. Now for the CDs. Let's see, what we have here is the original Australian CD. Another one that I also got for Christmas, if you've seen my Christmas special last year. As you can see, it still has the same CDP catalogue number, but this one was actually done locally by Distronics Limited. Let's see. I think we've got the inside of the cover here, and as you can see, it's pretty much identical to the Singapore cassette, and this is pretty much what we got here. Okay, so we'll put that back gently. And the disc itself is this. Okay. There's that one. Now we move on to the CBS version. This is the last of the original CBS CDs from 1989. This one wasn't in good shape when I got it. The case, or the cover itself, must have been flood damaged or something. As you can see, different album code. I think the inside of the cover is pretty much exactly the same, but it's in worse condition. Yeah, it's the exact same. So, but it's in poorer condition, unfortunately. But either way, the disc is here. As I said, this is the last one from this particular set, released in 1989, about a year after the original CD. Anyway, the same mastering of that CD would be used again in 1995 for the Picture Disc series. This one is a slightly altered back cover. Again, you would have already seen this if you're a regular viewer to the channel. Let's pull out the... And of course, the front insert is stuck. Ah, there we go, we got it. As typical of these particular sets of CDs, these have the lyrics to all the songs. And of course, inside here as well. Okay, now if we can just gently put this back. Come on, in you go. No, yes, you are going in. Yes, you are. And here's the disc itself. As you can see, it's a bit on the transparent side. Unlike the 2002 discs, which were actually a bit more solid looking. There is a counterfeit version that has a much difficult to see EMI logo. But that is not the counterfeit, that is the real deal, that one. Alright. And we've got the 2003 version. This one is in very poor quality. The 2003 copy is a bit rough. It's been taped up because it got ripped a couple of times. Because I got these when I was still in high school and wasn't the best at looking after things. Compared to now, the disc, I think the disc is still good though, either way. That's the disc from that particular release. It's not the original case, by the way, that also got broken. Either way, that is that from this particular set of AC/DC albums. Thank you very much for watching. Be sure to like and leave a comment down below. And if you're new to the channel, you know what to do. If you're willing to do so, that is to subscribe. But, of course, that is entirely up to you. Even though we're not that far from 150, but I don't know if I'll ever get there, but that's up to you if you wish to make it that way. But until next time, this is the Doga saying have a wonderful weekend, everybody. Stay safe around the world, and we shall see you again.